This is a bit of a different video for me to do. It's a roundup of the movies that I've seen in February and March that I didn't get around to doing a review of for different kinds of reasons. I have a couple of movies to talk about, so let's get started. Game Night. Saw this back in February. I thought that this was incredibly fun. At first, you know, you go in, you look at the trailer, you think, oh, it's like a normal sort of comedy. It might not be that funny. A lot of comedies in the last couple of years have just really disappointed me. They've only been half funny. The characters you don't really care about. It just looks flat and boring. But Game Night was none of that. I actually cared about these characters. I wanted them to succeed in this incredibly convoluted plot. This movie looked really, really, really good. The cinematography just had all these awesome movements that I've never expected, some of which I've never even seen before. I loved Jason Bateman, Rachel McAdams. I thought that they were really interesting. I think that more people should have watched it, and when it comes out on DVD, Blu-ray, Netflix, what have you, I think that you should go out and watch it. It is absolutely hilarious. Mute. Saw this in February as well. Yeah, I don't know what Duncan Jones is kind of trying now, because he was a great, promising director with Moon and Source Code. But Mute, he said that he was trying to write from well before he even did Moon, and this is kind of like a passion project for him. I don't know what he was trying with this. There's so many different tropes and characters and plot points and references and all this kind of stuff that's just kind of thrown in and mushed together to try and see if it works, and it doesn't. What is this? I don't get what any of this movie is. I found it incredibly boring and really forgettable. I just don't think it appeals to anyone. Mercy, which is directed by James Marsh, who made The Theory of Everything. I really enjoyed that movie, and I went in thinking maybe you can do the same thing, like make a biopic that tells you a story that you don't really know too well, but make it feel emotionally involving. Yeah, kind of. The stuff with Colin Firth, he's playing Donald Crowhurst, who tried to circumnavigate the globe on his own as part of the Sunday Times race back in the 60s. And when it shows you Colin Firth on this boat, struggling to just try and get to where he needs to go, that's the most powerful stuff. When it goes back to the mainland, it's very boring, it's very plain, very simple. But the real problem is that while all the Colin Firth stuff on the boat is interesting, we don't know if that actually happened at all. It's kind of like The Perfect Storm, where everyone died at the end, and therefore the entire movie is completely fictional because nobody knows what happened. And the whole movie is just kind of lukewarm. This is basically take The Revenant and give it 1% of the budget. The story was just so boring. I've seen it before. I didn't care. At the end, I just completely forgot what this movie was. Peter Rabbit, a movie which I thought was going to be as bad as, say, The Smurfs, where it just takes a beloved children's book series and turns it into this commercial, shitty cash grab. Peter Rabbit is not that at all. Sure, James Corden is a complete miscast in this role, but the rest of the cast, the voice cast and the real life people, they're all fantastic. They're all perfect. They all play the roles so well. I actually had a really good time watching this movie. There's a lot of parts of it that are really self-aware about the fact that it is based off a children's book series, and also tries to play up a lot of the kind of romantic comedy tropes, cliches that you've seen before. I thought that was really fun. Daisy Ridley as Cottontail, best part of the movie, and there's a particular couple of jokes involving a rooster and a deer that made me laugh, probably the hardest that I've laughed in a movie for actually a long time. Mary Magdalene, which from the trailer and the promotional stuff makes you kind of think, oh wow, it's a Jesus story, but it's told from Mary Magdalene's perspective, so it's different. Rooney Mara actually does a really good job in this role. I really enjoyed the cinematography as well. The first 5 minutes are actually kind of breathtaking. It's a shame that the entire movie is exactly the same story that you've seen 100 times before. It's exactly the same Jesus story from start to finish. You know exactly every single plot beat. This movie was incredibly boring. It's just set in this barren plain of nothingness, and I'm actually really disappointed that this is Garth Davies' next movie after Lion. And the final movie in this review roundup is Early Man, Aardman's latest animated flick. I love Aardman. I've actually grown up on their movies. They were kind of like Pixar. They started out in these awesome technical masterpieces, basically. And yeah, sure, they had a couple of their commercial detours, but they really did bring it back for me with Shaun the Sheep movie. However, Early Man is kind of like their Good Dinosaur, in the sense that it's their worst one. This movie is not funny. I didn't care about the characters. The story is every single sports movie you've ever seen. Sure, the animation is still spectacular because it's Aardman. That's how they built their brand. But this was a really boring movie, and it was kind of a pain to sit through, and I'm just really disappointed. So that's a catch up with a couple of movies that I saw in February and March. I don't think I'm going to do this again. This was just because in those last 2 months I had so many other movies to watch. I was trying to balance different things with my family and with starting uni up again. But April, I'm going to keep very consistent. If there's a new movie coming out, I'm definitely going to go see it. So have you seen any of the movies that I talked about? Peter Rabbit, Game Night, Mary Magdalene, Early Man? I'd actually really like to know if you've seen them. What did you think about them? What did you think about this review? Let me know in the comments below. If you want more Mr. Movies, click the channel link coming up right here, and thanks for watching.